Every night I use a technique which allows me to sleep in under 2 minutes, and this has been absolutely a game changer for me in my life. As students, we often think that we need to stay up later, work harder, and study harder so that we can get more done within a day. This is actually so far from the truth, both scientifically and anecdotally. For an experiment, I have been waking up at 2:15 a.m. using this technique, and it's been so good to have this technique by my side. Once I realized that I could get so much more done with good sleeping habits, this actually changed the way that I thought about study and work and how I thought about sleep. Hi guys, Archer here, a first year medical student, and in this video, we're going to be going through the productivity tips that I have for you in how to get to sleep quicker. This is so important to me so that I can get up the next morning and get straight back to work feeling refreshed and energized. Firstly, we're going to talk about why it's so important and how we can design our environment to help us sleep better, and then we're going to look at the combat pilot method. Let's get straight into it. You've heard it time and time again, sleep is very important and is something that you need to prioritize. You definitely shouldn't work harder to try and avoid it. I went to bed at 9 p.m. pretty much every night when I wasn't going to a party or hanging out with friends, and this meant that I could wake up at 5 a.m. and that I could get a lot of work done because I knew I was very productive in those early hours of the day. At the same time, many of my friends were staying up to 12 a.m. and later to get just the same amount of work done. You should be able to enjoy sleep. It's not something that you have to give up and sacrifice for that hustle. There are so many CEOs out there that are able to get so much done in the same 24 hours that we have as well. It's more about your time and how you spend it. Take Gary Vee for an example. He's a huge believer in sleep, even though he talks about hustle all the time. He knows that if you're able to wake up fully recharged, you're able to take on every single challenge and obstacle that pops up in the day. And you just can't do that if you're not fully awake. Hard work is not the issue. It's more so about being efficient in the time that you actually spend towards studying or working. And this really comes down to focusing on the things that are going to move the needle for you and make the most significant impact for the time that you spend on them. If you haven't heard of Pareto's principle yet, this is basically the 20-80 rule. The 20-80 rule suggests that 20% of the inputs and the time and effort that we put into something lead to 80% of the results. This was first seen with economic examples and can be drawn out to so many examples in life. I use it all the time wherever I can, particularly with study and work. If you put this concept towards studying, think about studying 20% of the main concepts of a particular exam. That's often going to lead to 80% of the marks in the real exam. So if you focus on that 20%, you're going to do pretty well already on that exam. But then you can start to worry about that final 20% of marks by spending 80% more effort. Now, most of the time, you don't want to spend that much effort because you can see the law of diminishing returns happening there. You have to put so much extra time into that final 80% to get a little bit more out of the results. It's actually just so important to focus on what's important first. For example, what's going to be more important for this YouTube channel? Me releasing 2 videos a week, or me trying to make sure that my script is grammatically correct? You can quite easily see with that example where my time is better spent. So the Pareto's principle is really useful in terms of how you spend your time, but it can also be applied to sleep as well, but that's just going to be a completely different video on its own. Just focus on what matters. And I'm sorry to say to those guys who just write fancy notes with their highlighters and stuff, it's actually just a waste of time. You just need to get the information down. Here are just a few tips that you can use to design your environment to make it easier for you to sleep. Cut out the light in your room. It's going to make your room darker, and it's going to make it easier for melatonin, which is that sleep hormone, to be released. This will make you sleep quicker and also increase the quality of your sleep. Reduce the noise in the room as much as you can. And if there is noise that you can't get rid of, try and counteract this with some white noise. You can use a fan or something, or play some white noise from some speaker. One of the great things that I found about that's worked for me is lowering the temperature in your room as well. You don't necessarily have to do this with fans and aircon, but what I do is I use less blankets, and that's able to let my body cool down quicker. Your body has to cool down before it goes to sleep. So by doing this, you're able to get to that stage quicker so you can fall asleep. Put your phone away so that you don't get distracted from it and think about it all the time when you're trying to sleep. This way I don't have to worry about notifications or checking my phone when I'm already in bed. And the absolute biggest game changer for me was investing in a smart light, which can turn off and turn on whenever I want, and I can schedule that, and I can control the brightness and the color as well. Because this has been absolutely the best investment in my health, I'm actually making a video for this, which will be released really soon. Alright, so I took this method from US military fighter pilots, and they basically needed this technique, otherwise it would put them in danger of dying. This could easily lead to errors which could lead to them getting shot down themselves, or they could shoot down another fellow comrade. Because of the sheer importance of sleep, they brought in a successful US college football coach who worked with a psychology professor who knew how to help athletes relax and excel under pressure. After just 6 weeks of practice, 96% of these pilots were able to fall asleep in under 120 seconds. And this was with distractions, with gunfire in the background, sitting up, or even just after having coffee. The two parts to focus on learning is how to physically relax and mentally relax. This was exactly the same method that the coach taught these men in World War II. Alright, so basically what you want to think about is releasing all of the tension within your body. Start off by taking the most comfortable position in your bed and choose a position that you think that you would be able to sleep in. Completely relax your face, and to do this, you want to try and squeeze all the muscles in your face and then let them go loose. Start off with your forehead and then make your way down to your cheeks, then to your jaw, and then your tongue. And once you think they're fully relaxed, breathe slowly. Then you want to move down to your neck and try and drop that as low as you can. Drop your shoulders as well, as low as you can. And once you think that they've dropped enough already, think about dropping them even more. Make them feel as heavy as logs and like they are actually falling into your bed. Most of your tension is actually within your jaw, your neck, and your shoulders, so you'll probably feel something by now. And then you can start to do the same for the rest of your body, going from your chest, your biceps, your forearm, your hands, and then your fingers. Do this for both sides, and then you can think about working on your thighs, and then your calves, and then your ankles, and then your feet. If you do this well enough, you can feel really, really relaxed at this point, and you probably won't be moving. That's how you go about physically relaxing your body, but the harder one that I particularly think is stopping all those racing thoughts in my mind and coming down to actually mentally relax. Often I try and reduce this by writing down all of my thoughts on my computer just before I go to bed. And these techniques don't actually require you to have some sort of nighttime routine, because these are what fighter pilots did when they were just sitting in their jets. All they had to do was clear their mind for only 10 seconds and then they'd be able to fall asleep. You have to stop all the rambling thoughts, all the worries, problems, thoughts about the day and what you have on tomorrow. Particularly, you want to think about removing any thoughts about movement, because that's actually going to cause like micro contractions within your arm, and that's going to make you wake up a little bit. The college coach also goes through a few examples that you can think about to try and relax your mind. The first one that I pretty much always use is about fantasizing that you are in the bottom of a canoe in a very blue lake that is serene. And then you can think about having that really blue sky with floating white clouds. You want to try and develop this picture and concentrate it for just 10 seconds and keep out any thoughts that are trying to seep in. Hold the picture and enjoy it for 10 seconds. This won't work on your first try, but there are a few other ones that you can try as well. Often if I can't get it to work in 10 seconds, I'll just do a lot of these thoughts and similar thoughts as well to try and stack them up so I can fall asleep even quicker. Another one is just thinking about relaxing in a hammock and all you can see is just black. And you hold that picture for 10 seconds again if you want to. Or you can do this one, and it hasn't really worked for me, but you might want to try it, which is basically repeating don't think as much as you can for 10 seconds and stopping any thoughts from coming through. So I think about that image in the canoe pretty much every time before I go to bed, and that just helps me drop dead. This won't happen for you overnight. In fact, this actually requires a bit of training, but it's just so worth it if you can get it down. Just remember that it took 6 weeks to see that success of 96% of fighter jet pilots being able to use this and fall asleep in under 2 minutes. Keep at it and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.